G'day everyone, and welcome back to Billabong High School. As we head into another week amidst the challenges that COVID-19 present, I thought it might be helpful if I touch base with our community, our students and parents and staff, and do my best to give a bit of an update as to where we're at this Sunday heading into Monday and another week at Billabong. In terms of detailed update of exactly where we stand as you're viewing this, I absolutely advise you to go to the Department of Education webpage where they have a COVID-19 section, and that is the most up-to-date information coming to you. At Billabong High School, as a New South Wales public school, our strategy and our direction very much aligns with the New South Wales government, the federal government, and of course the Department of Education in New South Wales. That is, based on the federal advice, health advice and Prime Minister's advice, is that public schools will remain open. Now, in a nutshell, the strategy there, as we discussed last week, is the idea that to help combat coronavirus or COVID-19 in our nation, we are attempting to flatten the curve. And part of the current strategy for flattening the curve is that public schools remain open. Part of the reason we're remaining open is so that the students and the children of healthcare workers, emergency workers and other essential workers can remain at school. So that is the national strategy, that is the government strategy, that is the Department of Education strategy, and certainly that is Billabong High School strategy. If that were to change and the information and advice and direction is that we'll close schools, then that is when Billabong High School would follow that advice. But please rest assured that as a school, we are definitely preparing for the idea of continuity of learning, the idea that some or all students may be at home, and some or all staff may be at home working to support the students from there. Again, I don't have time today to get into great detail about that, but some of the very basics are that during the week, in fact, before the department even asked us to, at Billabong High School last Monday, we surveyed students and staff to get an idea of our internet connectivity, our access to devices. So we really feel that we have the information to inform our pathway forward. And certainly later in the week, the Department of Education asked us about the same questions that we had already asked our students. So I feel with a great level of confidence that we are on the right track as a school, and we are doing our absolute best to support the idea of our preparedness for whatever might lie ahead. In terms of that, again, I won't get into all the detail, but just some of the possibly what might be frequently asked questions or discussion topics amongst students and parents are around what if I don't have a computer, what if I don't have an internet connectivity. For now, I would say simply it's not something to worry about right now. If we did go down the path of needing that facility at home, first of all, our internet connectivity and access to devices is quite strong, but we do recognise that there certainly are some people in our community who don't have that access. Just as one thing that we might not have thought of, we have around 150 good quality laptops that the students use in the classrooms regularly. And if it was a situation where students were at home, not at school using those laptops, then one example of what we could do is simply that those laptops could be loaned out to students, and there straight away we've got a significant access to a device at home. In terms of internet connectivity, the department certainly has asked me and my staff where we think our community are at, and again the survey information that we had gave us a good idea, and it's relatively strong across the board, but there are options there to support people at home who may not have as strong an internet connection as might be required. Again though, these are all preparing for a situation, issues preparing for a situation that we're not 100% sure of. But I would say just generally that I'm very confident that we would be as well placed as any other school in the state to achieve the quality of learning that we'd like to if that mode of delivery is required. Some other understandable questions in this situation are around HSE and continuity of learning there. There are questions around attendance at school and whether you'll be penalised or for not attending and things like that. Look, at the moment, as it stands this week, yes, the expectation is that New South Wales public schools are open and that students are expected to be at school. However, if there are circumstances, extenuating circumstances, where a student is not, or a parent decides not to send a student to school, we understand that getting to the doctors for a medical certificate and things like that at the moment are very challenging. For the moment, we just require a note from a parent. In terms of HSC, I would expect this week there to be more information to us about the future of that. You might have heard that NAPLAN late last week, was cancelled for this year, and that will relieve some anxiety and some stress for some people in our community, and will certainly allow schools not to have focus on that for this year. Again, HSE, we are doing our absolute best to pursue continuity of learning and to reassure students and to help support students through that. And we'll wait this week to see whether there is a modified position on HSC, and we'll let you know as soon as we can. Look, a huge aspect of what we're all facing at the moment, whether we're a school principal or a student or a parent, is uncertainty. And that in itself is something I think that we as a school are trying to cater for, and that I think is worth talking about with our community. No matter what happens in the next week or the next few months, looking after your personal health and well-being as best you can is going to place you in a much stronger position to cope with whatever lies ahead. It's certainly something we value at Billabong High School, and as almost all of our school community would realise, this year in particular, we've implemented a new program called Thrive, a new initiative, where at the end of every day, we have a period 45 minutes, where students engage in activities, whether it's physical or mindfulness or wellbeing activities, to support the physical and mental health of all of our students and staff. We're almost at the end of the term, believe it or not, and part of that involves us preparing for next term Thrive activities. So this week, we're really looking forward to having our Thrive survey and having students have a chance to select what they might do in term 2. Again, not knowing exactly how term 2 looks, we need to prepare for the prospect that we could still be at school functioning and trying to really, now more than ever, trying to really boost the well-being of all our students and staff. So we just wanted to show you a little bit of footage of the sort of things that we have been doing. We just quickly put this together last week. It was really confidence inspiring for me. I'm just as anxious or just as stressed as anyone else in the community. I'm not immune to those issues. And as a worker, as a principal, it was hugely beneficial for me last week that I could, for 45 minutes in the day, I could leave the work that I had in front of me and go and spend time with the students. I've been teaching, with Mr. Wawszkowicz, we've been teaching and leading a fitness class all term. So for me, that's 5 days a week. Every afternoon, I'm out there doing fitness with students that have chosen to do that. As you'll see in these the footage we've got here, there are plenty of other activities. They're not all running around and sweating or sport. There certainly is a lot of sport, but there are other activities like study time, like mindfulness, like STEM activities, which is science, technology, engineering, maths. There is guitar lessons, martial arts, board games, e-sport, all sorts of things that students can engage with. And now more than ever, that's really important that students do that.
I like Thrive because it's really fun and you get to have a lot of new experiences. I like the study camp programs and stuff done the martial arts and girl fit because you get to do a lot of fitness and fun things.
I like guitar because I'm learning a new instrument.
I like Thrive. I think it's most beneficial for every student to finish off the day with something that they have chosen to do. It's good to see the students leaving the school with a smile on their face.
I like Thrive because it gives you freedom to relieve stress and to do your own thing. I like Thrive because it gives you time to wind down and relax and try something new.
I myself personally enjoy Thrive. It's doing something that I'm interested in that I'd not normally teach in everyday classrooms.
Thrive's good because you have the freedom of choice to do what you love to do every day after school and have fun doing it.
I really like Thrive. I've been so fortunate. I've got Girls Fit and we do boxing every Tuesday afternoon. I've had such a great group of girls and we train really hard. We box, we do a bit of running, a bit of fitness. I've watched their skills develop over the last 8 weeks.
If it was working from home or studying from home, we wouldn't have access to these great Thrive activities, and I think it's worth thinking about how they might be replaced in your home situation. The very basic stuff now that's becoming extremely commonplace at school, and one of our main strategies is, of course, that we are not just teaching students about hand washing and hygiene, but really embedding that practice in our school. So we have these signs up all around the place. I can assure you at Billabong High School that we do have enough soap, we do have toilet paper, we do have hand towels, as in paper towels, and we've ensured that the toilets around the school, the many toilets that we have around the school, are constantly being checked and filled to make sure that we have the appropriate resources there. Miss Wirrakun, Miss Nim, our Deputy Principal, has certainly taken a lead role in that, and I'm confident that we'll maintain that to a high standard. Okay, one of the aspects of that is having these signs around the school, and these basics still very much apply. That we clean our hands with soap and water, we cover our nose and mouth when we cough or sneeze, and we avoid close contact with anyone with cold or flu-like symptoms. And importantly for all of us in our community, stay home if you are sick. Now, we published some of that advice last week again. If you have anything that resembles a cold or flu, respiratory illness, then certainly stay at home. Okay, and parents, we ask that you keep your children at home. Look, sometimes people come to school and they might develop a symptom throughout the day. Our process at the moment is that those students would be quietly and calmly, of course, identified. They can go to the sick bay, and if there is a concern there, so they'll be assessed at the sick bay, and if it's appropriate, we'll be calling parents to take that student home. Okay, that happened last week. It happens every day, even without COVID-19, but certainly at the moment that is a strategy that is very much being stuck to at Billabong High School, and of course we look forward to your support with that. So to finish, school will be open. For the moment, of course, school will be open. We continue to follow government advice. I'm constantly looking at that government advice and staying up to date, as are my staff, and I'm sure as are you. If that changes, we will let you know. Please do your best not to overly stress about things like HSC and NAPLAN and school processes. Those things are being worked out, and you will get more information on that as it develops. Of course, that includes the prospect of a possible school closure and how that might look like in terms of teaching and learning or access to resources. We are very confident we'll be able to manage that, and as we get the information, it'll be delivered to you. And most importantly, the main thing I wanted to put out today is that no matter what happens, our personal mental health and well-being and that of our students is vitally important. For us to be in a position to do what we need to do in the next few weeks and months, we need to maximise our physical and mental well-being. And I look forward to continuing that this week with the students in Billabong, and I look forward to supporting us all in the school community and for us all to support each other if and when the time comes for a possible school closure and a change to the way that we learn. Okay, thanks very much, and I look forward to making these films into the future if that's what we're doing.
Right in the middle of the Greater Hume Shire, and our drawing area takes in students from Walbundry to Holbrook to Henty to the Rock, and it's the strength of that community which makes our school strong.